New stars come along and try and change the game, and some of them honestly do. A great example of this came during the 90s and early 2000s, when Jessica Simpson walked into the world of music and made an impact that continued for a long time. And while it's true that her main music days are over, she's gone and done things that have been really impressive. Allow us to show you Jessica Simpson, then and now. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. The earliest days of Jessica Simpson. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? Simpson was born on July 10, 1980, in Abilene, Texas, and from an early age it was clear that she had a talent for music. She began singing in the church choir as a child. When she was 11, she realized she hoped to achieve success as a singer while at a church retreat. Simpson auditioned for the Mickey Mouse Club at the age of 12, auditioning with a performance of Amazing Grace and dancing to Ice Ice Baby. She advanced through multiple rounds, eventually being a semi-finalist for the show alongside artists such as Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and Justin Timberlake, which hopefully all of you know became big stars in their own rights, and further proving that the House of Mouse had all sorts of methods for creating stars. But that's another topic entirely. Simpson claimed that she had become nervous about her final audition after seeing Aguilera perform, and she ultimately was not selected for the show. Though obviously that didn't hurt her career in the long run, because she was picked up by a Christian label after doing a take on I Will Always Love You, and later went on to make her self-titled album, Jessica, which was funded by her grandmother, believe it or not, her debut and early releases. Despite striking out with the original label due to them going bankrupt, her album was sent to multiple record labels all over because her talent was clear. She ultimately caught the attention of Tommy Mottola, then husband of Mariah Carey, and the head of Columbia Records. He went on to sign her to the label, claiming she had a great little look and a great attitude, a fresh new face, and something a bit different than Britney and all of them. She could actually sing. Yes, that was a very key thing for Columbia, because in their eyes, Spears and Aguilera were making their careers more of their bodies and their dance moves, rather than their singing talent. Not inaccurate in certain ways. Whereas Simpson had the vocal talent and could make hits, so that's what they wanted to do with her. Simpson began working on her debut studio album in 1998. Her debut single, I Wanna Love You Forever, was released on September 28th. The single became a success in numerous territories, most notably reaching number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in the United States. The song earned a platinum certification from the Recording Industry Association of America for sales exceeding 1 million copies in the country. Not bad for a debut single, right? That being said, some of her earliest success were more international than national, and certain things went well for her because of her boyfriend and future partner, Nick Lachey, of the band 98 Degrees, even teaming up with him for both singles and tours. It worked, but it wasn't pushing Simpson over the top like the record intended, so a shift had to be made, being more mature. As noted, when Simpson was picked up by Columbia, the goal was for them to go and do things unlike Britney and Christina before them. But it wasn't working as much as they wanted, so they decided to try a more mature look with lyrics to try and match what others had done. And in a way, it worked, though not as much as they hoped at first. One of her singles from her New Look album reached the top 20 of the Billboard charts and sold more than her previous album did, but it didn't match her debut album sales, showing you that just because you go and mimic someone's success doesn't mean it's going to happen for you. Still, Simpson was on an upward trajectory, and it was going to explode in its own way via a certain marriage. Yeah, you know what we're about to talk about. Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey honestly had 2 relationships in their life. They met when they were younger and dated, but then Simpson broke it off because she wanted to focus on her career. But they eventually got back together, and by 2002, they got married, and it was a big deal in the music world and beyond. Because Jessica's father saw a potential in these two to not just be an A-list music couple, but to go and headline their own show, and thus Nick and Jessica Newlyweds was born. This reality show was honestly a bit of a precursor to what would happen with Keeping Up with the Kardashians in its own way, because it focused on the real lives of the two and how they acted when people weren't watching them. Jessica came off as a dumb blonde, and episodes like the legendary Lost Passport incident helped cement the show in pop culture and launched the two into newfound popularity. After the show became famous, a lot of Jessica's albums and tracks started to sell better. She was even a part of the Super Bowl halftime show during this period. Though their show only lasted for 3 seasons, their fame grew, and Jessica started to branch out into things like making fashion and cosmetic lines alongside her music, something that would pay off huge down the line. But not before her fall came. Decline. Despite all the success that Simpson had, she also had her fair share of fails, not the least of which was divorcing Lashley and trying to release music that spoke on the matter in certain ways. Then there was her highly talked about, in the bad way, relationship with Tony Romo, former NFL quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. The two were seen together, and she came to some of his games, and the Cowboys didn't play well when she did, which of course got the fans to blaming her for the failing. Her music career was starting to decline as well as her sister's, believe it or not, and she tried to experiment to get the feeling back, including going into country music for a bit, and it not working out well. She continued to try and do things in the music world, but rarely did it go like it did in the earlier days of her career, and that led to other things that people would rather forget about her. Mental and physical issues. Eventually, she married a man named Eric Johnson, and had 3 kids with him. This, in and of itself, is totally fine, but she gained a lot of weight due to the pregnancies, and this led her to having body weight issues, so much so that she became a spokesperson for Weight Watchers after her first pregnancy in order to get the weight off. Her various mental issues continued though, including with a 2017 interview with Ellen, who was very eager to talk about Jessica's success in the fashion world. Her brand had made over $1 billion in sales, and yet Simpson came off as tipsy and incoherent at times. Many wondered if she was drunk, and in 2020, she admitted that this was indeed the case. "I can't even watch the interview," she told Today host Hoda Kotb in an interview. "It was a weak moment for me, and I wasn't in the right place. I had started to spiral, and I couldn't catch up with myself, and that was with alcohol." That's honestly really sad to hear, and though she did say she got better eventually, it does show that sometimes the need to look your best and be your best can make you do bad things. Jessica Simpson's legacy. In terms of legacy, that is honestly a bit of a tricky thing for Jessica Simpson, because she was a successful musician. There's no denying that. But her success was never that of her contemporaries like Britney Spears, and you could argue that her high points came when she was with Nick Lachey. Granted, she did go into the fashion business and has done very well there, even being worth $220 million due to her fashion industry success. But between her decline in music and how she's come off in the public eye at times, she's an example of how fame can sometimes twist you in ways you wouldn't have expected. What do you personally think will be her legacy in the music world and beyond? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.